We will be making the background today for our Gustav Klimt Tree of Life pictures. Before we get to the tree, I need to make a horizon line. I don't want it to be in the middle of my paper. I want it to be lower, like the lower third or fourth. I don't want it to be super thin because we're going to add some patterns to the ground. So somewhere around here. It does not have to be a straight line. It can be kind of wiggly. It's not a big deal. We just need something to separate this ground and the sky. The horizon line, which is this line, divides the sky and the ground. Now, Gustav Klimt did not use glitter paint, but I have a feeling that if it were around back when he painted, he probably would have used it because he seemed to like anything that looked shiny and glittery. These are the paints we'll be using for the background. You do not need to make your sky blue and your ground green. You can make them whichever color you like. If you'd like to create a sunset or a blended sky, please remember the color wheel order. The colors are in a row for the color wheel. The only color we're missing is orange. And you make orange with red and yellow. So if you really need orange, those two are there anyway. And there's also black, which is more of a gray, a blue gray than a black. But it's this paint's version of black. So decide what you want to do. I think I'm going to do a purple ground. Yeah, let's do that. And I have my paper towel, I have my water, everything I need for painting. Do I need to wet my brush first? No, that is for cleaning, not for wetting it right away. Make sure the cap stays near the paint. And when you dip, you may want to kind of dip gently to the bottom so you can pick up the glitter as well. So dip and then scrape once so it doesn't drip all over the table. Just start painting right along that line. When I run out, I'm going to dip again, touch the bottom, and scrape once more. I'm painting in long strokes like I'm petting a cat that I don't know very well. I don't want him to bite me or scratch me. So I'm just using nice, long, soft brush strokes. I'm not pressing the brush so much that it's squishing out all over the place. It's not very good for the brush. When it starts doing this, I know it's thirsty, it's getting too dry. I need to dip it back in for some more and scrape once. I'm using the side of my brush instead of just the tip. If I'm using the tip, I'm going to get very thin lines. If I use the side of my brush, we'll go a lot quicker. I want to get all those edges. And if you need to, rotate your paper around. Your paper's not glued to the table. Just make sure you're not knocking your paper into other people's papers. And when you're ready to start the sky, close the color if no one else is using it. Clean your brush. Brush the bottom of the cup gently. When you do that, it releases a lot more paint than just dipping it. Dipping it doesn't do much, but if you're brushing the bottom of the cup, it spreads the brush out a little bit. Don't squash it though. Be gentle. I'm holding the cup with my other hand so I don't get any spills. Now there's a lot of water on this brush. I don't want that, so I need to scrape it off. When most of the water's out, you use your paper towel to get even more water out and also to test and see if your brush is clean. If this looked really purple, then I know the brush needs to be cleaned a little bit more. I can also use it to shape my brush back into a flat, pointy shape if I want. Now I'm going to blend blue and black together. Black doesn't blend with all the colors, but it does blend with blue and purple nicely because, again, the black has blue in it. So blue and purple blend with black. I'm going to start with blue. Dipping to the bottom, brushing up the glitter a little bit, and then scraping once. Just once. And I think I'll go up part of the way. I'm going to go straight to that horizon line. And I notice that my brush is starting to get very stiff, so I know it's thirsty. Now, if you want to use a color like yellow, yellow is a very light color. Wherever you're going to put yellow, you should always paint with yellow first. If you're blending colors, paint with your lighter color first. In this case, my lighter color is blue because I'm using blue and black. You can see a little bit better when I do that. All right, I'm going up and down, long strokes. Make sure I get the edges. That's probably good. You can always paint over the blue a little bit. Alright, so I think I'm going to switch. Now, if you really need to put your brush down, don't stick it in the water cup. Just kind of lay it on your paper towel while you're using your hands for other things, or if I ring the bell. Don't stick it in the paint or in the water cup. Just let it rest on your paper towel. Brush the bottom of the cup. You can mix it a little bit or rub it on the sides of the cup. Scrape as much water off as you can. And then dry it the rest of the way. Your paper towel should not be soaked the first time that you use it. If it's getting way too wet, it means you're not scraping your brush off against the cup. The black. Now, again, you can spin your paper if you're having trouble reaching something. I'm going to dip all the way to the bottom, scrape once, and paint. You can see it's just almost like a darker blue, really. It's not very black. So it blends nicely with the blue. Yours might be a little blacker. This one looks pretty blue. There are some that are a little darker than this. I'm blending my blue and my black together, so it looks like it's kind of slowly changing a little bit. All right. You may get spots like this. Just leave them. Makes the picture more interesting anyway, but it's just the way that the watercolor is sitting on the paper. If it's really bothering you, you could paint on top of it a little bit, but the more you rub, the more you're going to rub paper off your page, and you don't want that. Okay. Let's say you have a really big puddle, or your color is darker than you want. That's another use that a paper towel has. You can use the paper towel to blot it, where you just touch it to the paper and lift it up. Kind of leaves a cool texture in it too, if that's what you're looking for. Do not rub it though, because you will peel paper off your page. You do not want that. Just tap it and let it go. When your paper's dry, please make sure you put it on the drying rack before you wash your hands. When you go to the sink to wash your hands, make sure that you take your brush with you and put it in the red bucket in the sink.